pop you on here. Hello, good morning. I just realised I've got my 50mm lens on, and I think I may need to give it a bit of a swap over and put my other lens on. 1 second. Only because as dreamy as a 50mm fixed lens is, I only get this option to film and that is it. Whereas with my 20 to 60, I can kind of zoom in and out and offer different options, and I think that's going to be better for this vlog. So I'll do that in a minute, but a big warm welcome. My name's Hannah, if you are new here, and I run a creative studio here in the West Midlands in the UK. And I just haven't done one of these for a very long time. So it has been, I need to put this back as well. It has been a while since I have spoken to you guys or even done a vlog or anything that isn't structured, and that's because I've been juggling being a mom and the school holidays, and even though I've been working to some degree, it's only been like the non-negotiables and the things that have had to happen. So all the nice stuff and the stuff that I get to really enjoy has had to kind of take a little bit of a back burner. So yeah, that's why you haven't really had anything new and exciting from me in what feels like a very long time. I kind of did a bit of a calendar where we marked the days off, so I could give her something of a visual reference to understand the countdown to how many days left, all of that. And it turned out I'd done about 50 something days of basically not really working in my business, essentially, from when we kind of had the nursery graduation stuff, finishing up with nursery, and then obviously we're at school, and I don't know how we even got here. It just feels crazy that, yeah, it's really hard to kind of comprehend a little bit. I feel like I've blinked and we're here, and I know lots of parents say the same, but yeah, it really does feel like I've blinked and here we are. And it's okay, my dad was walking past and looking in going, I sat down the other day to find something on YouTube that was after with my work, and kind of just get a feel for my own work in the sense of just a bit of reflection, really. What videos I used to create, and obviously that looks really different, and I'm very conscious of that, and I always try and be quite open as much as possible here. But yeah, that landscape has completely changed in terms of what work looks like for me. And I was just reflecting back, and you can see the transition. It might not be so clear to you guys, but from me, it just stands out a lot, where you see the products being made and me being in my studio, and there being the same kind of theming to the videos, and then you can see where I had my daughter, and then it's just choppy in the sense of trying to figure out everything. And part of me has always wanted to kind of delete them a little bit, because the two feel disconnected, but also I came on here and I came on YouTube to share my journey of running a business and what that looks like. So I kept them up, they're there, you can go back and look at them. But essentially it's a case of me figuring it all out and what that looks like. And I think just if I could go back in time a little bit and say anything to my younger self, it would be to be a little bit kinder on myself at the time. I was really, really trying to figure it out. Whilst also trying to figure out what being a mum looked like, and I didn't have any of those answers for myself, and I was trying to work it out. I knew I didn't want my business to kind of run how it did before, even though there was nothing wrong with that. I just didn't really feel connected to it anymore, and I wanted to kind of find that connection again. So yeah, here we are in what feels like a bit of a, sorry, I've come to change the lens, a bit of a transformative, you can see I'm way too close, a bit of a transformative era for my business. And I have been doing so much work behind the scenes, which is coursework based and really nothing that I can share, because it's just me sitting at a computer with my glasses on typing out what it is that I've needed to do. But I'm hoping to kind of bring a little bit more creativity, because I've noticed that a lot of the time it's me hopping on me like, oh, there's so many changes in my business and XYZ, and then actually probably not sharing them to the full extent to how that matches up. Or but yeah, I'm going to explain a little bit more as we go on in the vlog, and just hopefully it all makes sense also in line with the work I've got coming up. So that's what I'm going to do. But first of all, I'm going to quickly change the lens. Okay, can you notice the difference? I'm stood in exactly the same position, and that's how close and far with the focal point of the lens it is. So because this is fixed, and it's a 50mm, I was very much filled the frame. Creates a lovely background, like a nice soft blurry background, but it also means that you get a lot of my face, and I have to either put the camera really far back in order for me to be in the frame, or you get a really close up. Whereas with this one, this is me being able to zoom in, and then this is me able to zoom out. So we get a lot of variety, and I can kind of create a little bit more of a few different shots. So let's crack on with what we've got to do today. Sorry, I realise I'm talking and then walking out of frame. It's because I'm trying to get jobs done as well as talk to you guys after my light wand. Ideally I want to put this on, but I always forget to charge it. But I need this for the back. Whoa, I'm dropping everything. I want this for the backdrop to the workshop that I'm going to do in a little bit. Where is it? This is when I can't find the plug. It's only a USB-C. Have we got USB-C anywhere? I'm just going to put it on charge for now. I won't actually put it on. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Is that charging? Yeah. So today what I'm going to do is firstly create a workshop, and that will be over on my Patreon, and we're just going to be looking at roadblocks. So as in, not the game, as in we're going to kind of map out our journey and have a look at what blocks kind of show up. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to need the camera for that and my setup, which I may as well start setting up whilst I'm talking to you guys. And then I wanted to get a sign started, because I have basically been chosen to do a workshop within the community, and it won't be, I think, until next year. So this is all just setting up ready for it. But the workshops, because other artists are involved, they kind of are happening about now. It's like a 2-year long project about the Black Country and where we're from, and essentially they are holding like a community event in a couple of weeks, and artists' work are going to be there, or it's going to relate to the workshops that you're holding, and just kind of to create a bit of buzz and interest in the whole project. So I'd said yes, I have got work that I can take, but I wanted something relevant to the work that I was going to produce, and because I'd put a certain body of work together to produce for it, I kind of wanted it to make more sense to that. I know the work that I create to the wider world won't really make much sense, which I will talk through it and I will show you guys, but I really don't think it's going to it's not really going to resonate with anyone as much, or unless you are from the Black Country. And yeah, it's just about kind of, I guess, being proud of that heritage and talking about it, and I'll explain a little bit more when I get onto that in a little bit. But yeah, I realised the deadline was coming up, and I kind of got the emails whilst I was away from my business and away on holiday and stuff, so I came back to answer them. Yes, I can do it, but also I haven't started it. So that's where we are today. I thought, let's see if we can make a start on it. I don't know if it's doable. It might even be that I just do this setting up of it and I paint it at home. As much as I'd love that, I'd prefer to show you guys. So one, I've got content for both me and the workshops, and I can talk about it and show what I'm doing. But also, you know, when you're on just time constraints and it's like I can only do so much with my time, and like trying to film and paint means that it's a lot harder to get into the flow of what it is that you're doing, because you're swapping, you're changing angles, you're trying to relate back with the camera and create that interest, so you end up swapping, changing, and not being fully immersed in your art, which can be a pain sometimes. Sometimes I think you can create a simple piece and that's easier, but when you're trying to focus on something, it can be quite distracting when you're trying to like film. Everything just takes 4 times longer because you're swapping, changing the angles, zooming in, clicking pause, moving the angle. I think it'd be a lot easier if I had someone who was being a cameraman and being on the camera and videoing me, but because I film everything myself and on a tripod, it's just that process is a lot longer. Right, for the workshop, which is going to be on Patreon, and you can join there for as little as a cup of coffee. And the reason is to keep it as affordable and as accessible as possible for people. And it's just about everything that I've learned within my business and the tools that I've learned from my workshops and teaching. And it's just stepping into a space where I provide a really lovely, gentle environment that allows you to be guided into finding those answers for yourself. There is no quick answers there. It's not me telling you what to do or X, Y, Z. It is simply a really gentle, guided process for you to uncover those answers for yourself in a way that's creative and mindful, and takes you just, it gives you a little minute away. It's just a lovely kind of change of pace away from social media. A lot of the time what I do is, because of the way I learn, so I've kind of used the same analogy myself, but I've used the same kind of theming but provided it in different formats. So there's video, there's audio, there's subtitles over the text if you just want to follow and have it on mute. There's written format, and it allows you to kind of explore similar themes but in a way that feels the most comfortable to yourself. Sometimes I know I've got the space to sit down and watch videos, and that's what I like to enjoy and connect with what it is that I'm doing. And then sometimes I feel like, you know, it might be later at night and actually I'm just working with my own music on, and I'm kind of following the format from a post. So I'm always conscious of trying to deliver in different formats so that it works for you. So that's what I'm doing. And today's theme of the exploring roadblocks, etc., is also going to come from a place of doing a 15-minute workshop. I say 15 minute, it's not 15 minutes. I'm going to be filming for about 15 minutes, but essentially the No. Essentially, what it is that you create will probably take you the best part of about 45 minutes to an hour. So even though it's me talking in 15 minutes, it's going to be a bit longer than that. I'm going to make sure I've got everything I need. I've got my laptop. I need to get the HDMI cable so that I can connect it to my laptop and start recording straight from there. Got it. Essentially, that's what I need to connect my laptop and my camera, and then I have to do it through a Camlink. Do I have it? Yes, I do. So this little USB just means that I can record in 4K essentially, just through HDMI from laptop to computer, and then I use the Riverside software to record and edit, because I just find it's a really quick and seamless process where I'm not spending time overly editing, because we want it to be as natural and as authentic as possible. I know my studio vlogs, I try and keep them as unedited as I can these days, but I'm also conscious that they are edited, and you know, I don't keep in lines that I mess up or I've repeated 6 times, that kind of thing. Whereas with the workshops, I want them to feel like I'm there and I'm in person. So that's why it's a one take kind of go at it. So that's why I use the Riverside software. What we're gonna need, we're gonna need some pens and paper, which I've actually got the one that I did a little bit earlier. I think, when did I do it? A couple of weeks ago. And this one was just exploring my business and aligning our thoughts with what it is that we associate with our business. So I've done connection, nature, creativity in my time, and just explored that. It did originally start out as, I wonder if I've got it. So at the beginning of the exercise, it starts out as just a list and kind of asking questions, jotting stuff down, and letting yourself kind of start to embark on that creativity. And then when we get to this bit, we feel a lot more freed up and have a little bit more clarity. So that was one of the exercises. I just think I need a pencil for this one. You can go in with paint. Maybe I will paint. Yeah, should we do a bit of painting? I mean, I can, but then I'm not going to be able to film it, am I? Unless I host the website, unless I host the workshop, film it, record it, and then I film me doing the workshop on here. Maybe that's what we do. Who knows? Right, this vlog already is just me talking to you, and it's all over the shop, and I've got nothing to really nothing to show for it. Hello, I'm back, and that actually took me only 5 minutes or so to film, because I didn't want to talk too much. It needed to just be what it needed to be. I've obviously got a bit of time editing and putting it together into a workshop format, but I just thought it'd be nice to kind of do this activity now for myself, and yeah, just take a minute for myself as well, because I always enjoy actually doing the activities that I set out, because one, I've either done them before or I do them alongside, but I don't film them particularly alongside what I'm doing, because then I don't want to shape or form someone's opinion or thought process, or think that that's the outcome that needs to happen, because it isn't. Every outcome is completely individual. But I do like doing it for a sense of purpose myself, and a sense of like always doing that work and that reflection again on myself. So I'm going to move the camera, I think, overhead, so you can come and get a bit of a perspective of what it is that I'm doing. is Nature's Finest. So we installed a water butt, so we had access to water, but this is, yeah, Nature's Finest. I've just drew out the outline roughly. I'm just going to go in and paint, but noticing on what it is that I've created or what keeps showing up, and a lot of the things that I couldn't quite understand in my business when I first kind of was up against the obstacles. Oh, that brush is too thick. And now they all make a lot of sense. I just, things that I really struggled with when it came to showing up online and talking about them, and that's because a lot of the time I close myself off to kind of do the reflective work, and then I can kind of talk about it a little bit, and that's just how I've always kind of been, I guess. But what I think I've noticed a big difference in, which keeps showing up a lot over the course of the work that I've been doing. Whoa, that's really pigmented. Wasn't expecting that. Is the fact that I always mention time, and that I've just never felt like I've had enough time in my business compared to how I used to kind of run and what I could dedicate to it. And that's obviously, you know, because of being a parent and dedicating that time to my daughter. But where I felt like I didn't have enough time, weirdly then became, it feels like I'm on the other side of it now, where I've got this time to explore my business again and work in the hours of school time and whatnot. But coincidentally, I've now kind of gained all these tools to work so efficiently. I don't even have any white left. So efficiently that I kind of just crunch my work hours, and then it what am I even trying to say? I just work so much more efficiently these days because I don't have the time to waste, that it's sometimes a little bit bizarre when you go back and you've actually got more time than you think. Or like, I think I've spent quite a long time now on this, not on this exercise, as in just being at my studio, and I look and I've only been here an hour and I've already accomplished a lot on my to-do list that needed to be done. So that's always a nice feeling. But I think you get so used to having like these small pockets of time and having to just go and work so efficiently that sometimes when you get a bit of time, I've almost had like time paralysis, where it's like, okay, I've now got the time, and then I struggle with that time because I'm like, right, I've got to make it count and I've got to be this, and like it's all got to work out, and I've put must be some paint on the bottom of there. Yeah, and I just got so used to that time having to just like make the money and it's got to work, and feeling the pressure of that actually I really couldn't perform to the best ability and be efficient, and my mind wasn't in a free kind of flowing state. It was just in a space of being so uptight and so having to make it work and have it figured out. And of course none of those things are kind of are really true. We know that we work, you know, much more clearer from a clear mind, but I just felt like I just wasn't in a space for that, because I just had to figure it out and I had to make it work, and otherwise it felt like my business was slipping away from me. And I've just felt like it was a lot to navigate, and I didn't quite have the tools to do that for myself. So it meant kind of, I guess, going away and doing the work. And it kind of meant that I was tying in all my passions when I started doing the work and the discovering, and I was starting to really figure out all of it and what I wanted to do. And like, I know I love being creative. That is the bit that I 100% know, but it's like, right, what do I do with that? How do I know, like, from a spiritual point of view, that my energy and the creativity go hand in hand, and I didn't really understand that. I've been doing a lot of work on that over the years, but kind of not really understanding it. And I knew that if I was kind of getting to that point, that I needed to uncover it and I needed to understand it, because it just felt like this burning desire to kind of understand all of it, I guess. Because I've always wanted to draw and paint, I've always wanted to feel that connection with people, and I love the mindfulness that you get from painting and just using your hands, and not just painting but making stuff as well. But I never set out to be an illustrator or a straight up artist in a traditional sense, which is why I think I've always like stopped at each point and been like, this isn't what I want. And like, I did graphic design, I did fine art, I did media studies, and I enjoyed creating art in all these different various formats. But I also took psychology, and I loved understanding the why behind everything. I loved with media studies that we understand, you know, the reasons why we do certain camera angles and theming and lighting, and the emotions that we can provoke with that, and again with graphic design. And I loved my fine art for being just fully lost in the fine art kind of few hours that I do it each week. But I enjoyed the psychology, and it came to kind of applying to university, and then I was just like, I don't think that this is for me. Like, I don't want to be an illustrator. I don't want to just, my ideas don't come from a place of working with the brief and kind of working in that brief. My creativity and my energy comes from a feeling, and it's just been really hard to kind of understand that. And I love strategy amongst all of this, and the reasons just why behind everything. I've got these like kind of two parts to my mind, that love being lost in creativity, but then I love being like, okay, why? And you know, why this and why that? And I love my laser machines. I know they've always been a big part of my business and what I do, but if you were to hear and spend the day with me, what I really enjoy is the problem solving with them. Not particularly as in fixing the machines, but as in taking an idea or a product and thinking like, right, how can we create that? How can we make it? What's that going to look like? And I just love the thought process behind it. So there's never this one narrative behind just sticking within like oil paintings and that being my medium. I love, you know, lettering and calligraphy will always be at the heart of what I do, just because that's always been my pull. Sorry, I've realised I've started painting and then I've got completely distracted and I'm not getting anywhere with this. Oh, hang on, Daddy's bringing keys back. Hello? Thanks.
Can you drop this off to the post office when you way back home for me?
Just pop them in the key bit.
What?
Pop them in the key bit. I've just heard Dad going, we can't go in there, they put the recording button on. Either still, it still came in. I've got to probably redo that bit again. Oh, this is an interesting piece. But yeah, that's a little bit of a story time. That's where I'm at. Going forward, and like, I guess every time I've hit an obstacle as well, I've always thought like, maybe, you know, I should have gone and got a degree, or maybe I need this, and that self-doubt has always kind of crept in. And of course, regarding some stuff, there's always things that you do need to have. There is a minimum, and oh yeah, let's do that. Sorry, I needed a little grey colour. So I've made sure that if it's something that I can do, then I will, you know, upskill myself and put myself in a position to be able to do that. But when it comes to degrees, and I've always just felt like when I've had uncertainty, I've kind of regretted that I've never gone and got the degree, and I never went and onto higher education. And it was just me kind of finding a reason to kind of validate my feelings, when actually none of that was, you know, was true. I didn't need it. I didn't want to at the time, and that's, you know, that's okay. I think there's always going to be part of me that kind of maybe did wish that at the time I'd just been and done it, but you know, at the time you make the decisions based on the decision that's right for you at the time, and that's all I can kind of go off really. And but yeah, I'm going to just finish this painting because I'm going to put a big wash on for the sky, and then I'll come back. Okay, I've put, my work is currently drying on the radiator, and I'm going to use a dip pen and ink for this. Let's go in with a simple manuscript calligraphy ink, I think, in just a plain black maybe. Yeah, let's do that. I feel so extra using a feather to do my ink, but I really wanted a fountain type pen because I want to outline it. Oh gosh, look how crinkly and wet. You can tell I'm not using good watercolour paper for this. It's like, it's not withstood it, but it doesn't matter. It's not about that. But yeah, I just wanted to outline some of my work, so I'm going to go in with my dip pen and just be really kind of rough. Just really, yeah, kind of animated with it and loose and kind of free, I guess. Whoa, that was a big blob of ink. This has actually always been one of my kind of favourite styles, other than fine art, kind of, you know, oils and acrylics. If I'm using watercolour, this has always been my style, where it's a really loose watercolour and then a kind of scratchy black ink. And that's where I thought my illustration style was going to be, but not really, never turned out that way. Something so satisfying about using a dip pen to outline. Right, last little bit, I'm just adding some corals to my road. No idea why my street has gone back in the what do you call it, olden times with cobbled streets, but there we go. Not really being too precious over this. This is some tufts of grass. I'll leave it at that, I think. Job is a good one. Let's put the ink back. Let's let the nib dry. Classic Hannah. I have got ink all over my hands, but essentially the finished piece. And yeah, I'm gonna go and take a few photos to pop on my post on the workshop, and yeah. Should I use a backdrop? Should I not use a backdrop? Might add a backdrop. So, backdrop. Do we need the backdrop? Don't know. I like using it at home where I've got my wood and it adds a nice warmth and depth, but we're not at home, we are here. So we are going to roll with currently what we have. Oh, that water looks minging. Yeah, that's not quite working. We're going to have to get more in the frame. The red is like standing out a mile. Let's add some paints. I need to bring the table down. I'm so short I can't even see above what it is that I'm doing. I still love this this desk that I had from FlexiSpot like years ago. It's been such a good part of my business. I don't know if I need that camera because I can't quite get it all in. I don't want to include much of it because we also, I don't want to kind of inform anyone's like that that's how we should do it. Right, I might take some photos now on here. Okay, photos are done. We can pack this little bit away. I am about to see if I can paint the next part of what it is that I've got to do. Nope, that doesn't go there. Let's tidy that up. Let's pop you over there. These over here. The next piece of what I've got to do is prep the boards for an upcoming workshop next year, which I know I mentioned in the beginning of the video. But essentially this is part of the reason as to why I'm currently doing the work that I'm doing. So this little piece here, which you may have seen me painting one of my videos, is essentially kind of what got me the job, and one that's based on my lettering and sign writing skills that I'm going to be doing for the workshop. Secondly is facilitating the workshop, but that's a separate thing. And then lastly, it's because I'm going to be doing local community workshops, and I can't I can't give too much away in the sense of talking about the reasons why, because then it'll kind of, just from a privacy point of view, and protecting myself in terms of locations and XYZ. But you may have noticed that I have a Black Country accent. I can't hide it. That's me. That's, you know, who I am. And this upcoming workshop, I just thought, or project, just sounded right up my street. It's working within the Black Country. Now, you may have heard our dialect about, you know, where you're from, Bab, Os, to name a few. Core Blimey, how you been, round the Reekin, just to name a few of some of the dialect around here. Now, you may think I've just spoken complete nonsense, but it's a lot of dialect and language that we use around here, and what we've known, it's our heritage. This is what we're about, and I thought it'd be a really lovely way to collaborate the two of creating lettering pieces that celebrate the dialect around here. So with also showing our story of, you know, how we came here, you know, where we've come from, what it means to us, and all of that, which just, yeah, I kind of pitched the idea based on family and personal stuff, and just tying everything in all together. But essentially the part that you'll see on here is me prepping that work for my workshops that are up and coming. And I know eventually I do want to create, I've got to watch because I'm going to get a splinter. I do want to create a really big piece for this board, which I've had it sitting in my studio for the best part of the year, but it's a really nice chunky piece of, I think it's like marine ply, so it's exterior quality, it can be put outside, and I just need to prep it and get it ready. I do kind of like that it's on the wood though, to be honest. Maybe I keep it the wood and varnish it, like wax it up maybe. But I need to get my sign writing paint, because it's like it's different to your normal like acrylics and stuff. Typically I might use a nice red. Have I got my red? Yes, even though it is in a glass. And I was going to prep a word that we use. I was going to do where you're from. I was going to do Boston. But yeah, I haven't really got any other wood. I don't know whether to do small pieces, but because the art exhibition for the artists that are holding the workshops is, I think it's an outdoor event from what I know, they're going to need to be big pieces. Like that piece that I've just had, where did I put it? Oh, my, you know, my Tell Your Story, that small disc, that's fine and great in my studio. That looks plentiful, but when that goes out into the, you know, outdoors, it's going to look a bit lost if I just submit, you know, this kind of little piece. I do think for it to have any impact, we're going to have a piece this big. So whether or not it stays that size or that size is something that I need to plan. And I also need some more wood. And I've got this piece over here, so I've got some more. I've got these two pieces, which are they're both been prepped. So this one is in a sage green, which I was planning on doing like a deep green, what do you call it? Deep green letters, but I don't know if it just looks like too cute and too nice, and that's not the aesthetic that I'm going for. I'm going for like industrial, I'm going for like vintage nostalgia colours, deep reds, mustard yellows, you know, deep greens, navy blues, black. So I think between this and this, it's all a bit cute, and I don't know whether to actually just repaint these, even though they are prepped and ready to go, or whether to keep them for my office. But I just think they're too cute. Let me know in the comments. I'll have to let you know, or maybe put a Pinterest up of the ideas that I've got in mind. But I'm just thinking these really like rich tones, these and a very vintagey, nostalgia kind of look and aesthetic. It's something that I really enjoy that personally, and that's how I decorate, you know, my home and the styles that I like. But I think when you kind of see my office, because I painted it white to reflect as much light as possible, because as you can see here, we don't get much light in certain parts of the studio. So if I was to paint it in those colours, you know, it wouldn't be very light in here. So we keep it white and we keep it as a blank background. So, but also it doesn't sometimes fit in with my personal style of what I really like. And I'm slowly trying to bring in more personality, more warmth, and more of my interests and tones and colours into that. But I think I just got really quite, what's the word? Swept along in making it kind of pretty from an aesthetic point of view from the outside for years. And you'll have seen that in my videos where like I like pink and I use it in my business, but I just so heavily use pink that then it became the colour that I use, and then I don't actually personally really like pink. I'm not a pink girl, so it felt very conflicting. So this year I made a choice to go back to my colours that I put in my original business, which were these like kind of neutral creams and it like goldeny colours, like neutrals, beiges, which I kind of guess in one sense it's done me no favours because it's trendy, so I look like I'm just going on to another trend. But I've gone back to my original colours where I just bring in a little bit of pink, and then I can bring in a little bit of green and the red, and it still keeps a neutral base, but I can kind of explore those colours a little bit more. But yeah, it kind of, I guess, looks like I've jumped on the trend of being beige, but that was never part of the plan. I was just going back to my colours in my business that I did on my logo like 10-12 years ago. But yeah, I'm going to put those back because I need to think of what it is that I'm doing. I may even have to include this in next week's vlog, or I say next week, next month's, knowing me, next month's vlog, because I realise I have rambled on and not concluded it. So maybe we leave this as a part 1 and stay tuned for part 2. Who knows? But I hope you have enjoyed this video. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. I do really appreciate it. It's looking back at my channel when I went on the other day and looked back, like I'm so proud that I took the step to do it. It has made me question a lot of things in my business over the years, and I think that's because doing YouTube, and when you're creating the content, you're kind of in the moment, but then when you're editing it and then choosing to export that video and then upload, there's a reflective period that happens with it, and I think that has helped me have my own reflection over the years over to where it's going, and although it might have not been obvious at the time, it kind of started to show itself or make sense as the years goes on. But I'm rambling once again. But yeah, I'll see you in the next studio vlog. Goodbye guys.